Good afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Before we do any introduction, we are from Sophia Magazine, and we are very much interested in the history of our voting as far as Gambia is concerned. And we would like to know how it started and what happened up to now. The formation of who used to vote first, the political parties, how did they come about, and how many changes did we achieve, and the uniqueness of using our particular or peculiar voting system as far as Gambia is concerned.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Hassoum Cissé, my name, Hassoum Gambia National Museum. You have asked a very good question. Gambia has a long tradition of multi-party democracy, really dating back to 1947, 72 years. In that year, we had the first constitution which brought the elective element into our politics, meaning for the first time in 1947, Gambians were given the option, the opportunity to vote for their representatives.
Okay.
Before that, all what happened was the governor will select people to sit in the legislative council, which was like the parliament.
Okay.
But in 47, it changed.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
The 47 constitution gave opportunity to a section of the country to vote directly.
Okay.
People in the legislative council.
And in that 1947, you mentioned a section of the country.
Yeah.
Which section of the country were?
Las Batos, and Kombo Tuba Bango,
Okay.
now called Serakunda, and Banyo.
Okay.
Batos is the old name for Banyo, and Kombo.
And the
And
Congo.
they now call Kombo Tuba Bango.
So the rest of the country,
No.
nobody was allowed
They
to
did not vote.
They did not vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Do they have representatives?
No.
No. So every set of representative.
Politics was centralized in Batos.
And Combo.
Yeah, well, yes, and no, Kombo Tuba Bango.
Combo to
Kombo, that's Bakau Serakunda.
Bakau and Serakunda.
Yes.
That is to be precise. Combo to Banco.
Yes, Bakau Serakunda.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. What happened after that?
Well, in 1951, there was a new constitution
Mm.
which allowed for the formation of political parties.
Was this our first constitution as a country?
No, I said the 47 was the first.
First constitution.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the 51 was good because it allowed us to form political parties.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So from 1951, Gambians were able to form
From political parties. And the
parties.
first political party was the Gambia Democratic Party
Gambia Democratic
of
Party.
Reverend J.C. Faye.
Okay.
Then from a few months later, you had the United Party of Per Njai,
Pernia United Party.
a lawyer.
Yes.
And then, some months later, you had the People's, some years later, you had the People's Progressive Party,
Okay. Which is the PPP.
PPP, which in fact took us up to independence.
Okay.
And then, you also had, Gabo Jahumpa's, Muslim Congress Party,
Muslim
which
Congress.
is in the first floor,
In the first floor.
which we will show you before the interview.
Okay.
So these were the major parties in the 50s.
Yes.
Yes.
Now tell us about this ballot box we find here
Well,
and the bulls.
this ballot box dates to 1960. In that year, there was a new constitution again, and universal adult suffrage was introduced, meaning now Gambians over the age of 21 can vote from corner to corner.
Okay. So this.
And the method of voting was adopted.
Can you explain to us this? Which method
Well,
of voting was this?
It has a very interesting history. There was the commissioner for Western Division in Birkama, John Ord, O-R-D-E, was given the task by the governor. Okay?
Yes.
He told him, Mr. Commissioner, 95% illiteracy. We cannot use ballot.
Yes.
The commissioner said yes. So he said, can you find out how we can hold these elections? They are due in 4 months' time. This was January 1960. So Commissioner Ord went to the PWD Public Works Department,
Yes.
Which was the government body, just like NAREC now, taking care of water, electricity, road maintenance, and so on.
Yes.
And he asked one of them to just design. He explained the idea that we want a system where somebody can drop something into a box and I standing outside will hear it. You see? So I'm sorry it's a Gambian
Yes.
who drew it.
Okay.
But as in history, the name of that Gambian is not in the records.
It's not in the records.
Because PWD, you had plumbers, you had metal workers, you have wood cutters. So I'm sorry it's one of the the welders.
Welder men there.
Yeah. So he
That's
just designed something, and he removed the bell of his bicycle to fix it below this hole here.
Interesting.
So the next day, odd came. Okay. And he took a stone, put it in, it hit the bell and dropped.
So with that chime sound,
Yeah.
it tells you that someone has voted.
Yeah. So now he asked PWD to make hundreds of these.
Okay.
And they went to Senegal to buy the marble.
Marbles.
Why marble? Because it's round. It has a perfect round shape.
Okay. And from there we begin to vote in a universal suffrage.
Yes.
Using
Using this marble voting, which we are still using.
And the drum.
And the drum, and the bell. So that you drop it, it makes a sound.
Yeah.
Everybody knows there's one vote.
Okay.
So really the whole theory of one man, one vote
Yeah.
is epitomized in this.
In this.
That's why Gambians should hold it very dearly. Secondly,
Yes.
through this we have removed two sitting governments. Pierre Njai in 1962 when he was defeated by PPP, and Yahya Jammeh in 2016 when he was defeated by the coalition.
So by voting, this is not the first time we remove a government
No.
through Yahya Jammeh.
No,
It was done
it happened Pierre Njai.
to Pierre Njai
Yes.
in
The UP lost 62 elections.
1962.
Yes.
And this was the United Party.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was chief minister.
He was the fifth minister.
Chief
Minister.
Yeah.
Was then the chief minister.
Yeah.
When you say chief minister, what do you mean?
Like a
by that?
prime minister.
That's the prime minister's title in those times.
Yeah.
And he was the one that forms the government.
Yes.
At
And
the
he was
time.
removed
Removed
in the 62
in the
election.
62 election
Through this.
through ballot.
Yes.
Sorry, through marble voting.
Yes.
And
And the drum.
the drum.
Yeah.
And this was by the PPP.
Yes.
Can you tell us, if possible, by what margin or what was the
Well, it was a resounding
actual
victory.
result?
And PPP got 58% of the votes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
58% of the
Yeah,
votes.
it's 62.
Okay.
And through this, I should add, they also became a republic. Because 1970 referendum, in which Gambians voted for republic, was through this. So this is not to be easily done away with. And I want to use your media to appeal. Let us not be in a rush to cast this aside.
So you are sending a message to the Gambians
Yeah.
and to the IEC in particular
Let us not rush to cast it aside.
concerning
Yeah.
the marble and the drop voting
Because
that-
it has added value to Gambian democracy
and history.
through building of trust. One man, one vote. There can never be double voting.
Okay. And
That's
the-
why Gambian elections
Mhm.
from 1960 to now, anybody who contests election is not through the vote cast. Never. It's through registration.
Okay.
For example, they accuse Yahya Jammeh of registering foreigners from Casamas,
Okay.
or they accuse Jor of registering foreigners from somewhere.
Okay.
You see, all the dispute in Gambian elections
Was through
is
registration.
linked to registration of voters,
But
but not
the actual participation. Of
ballots
casting
or
ballots.
votes.
Okay.
No, because it cannot be tampered with. Nobody can tamper with it.
Okay. Now concerning
And maybe they can prevent a village from voting. They can send police there. They intimidate them. That can happen. But the actual voting process itself
cannot be
is foolproof.
is foolproof. Now going back to the system that we have today, as a historian, what message do you have for the Gambians in order to hold to our heritage and our history as far as voting is concerned?
Thank you very much. This is part of Gambian heritage. And that is why we should brainstorm. Look, Mr. Njai, the white man in 1960 was faced with a conundrum. How to organize elections in a country where 95% cannot read and write. And the white man was able to come with an idea like this. Now, if we have 20 political parties, why can't we make adjustments to this?
Very well.
And let it stay, but with adjustments. That's the point that I am trying to put forward. Let us not do away with it just because they think we are going to have 20 candidates in the next election.
Okay.
Yes.
I think you just answered a question that's I've been given to.
Yeah.
Besides, we still have high illiteracy rates as far as the country is concerned,
Yes.
and bad communication system.
Yeah.
I think this is still valid.
And really it symbolizes Gambian democratic culture. We are the only country in the world who use this. So we should be proud of that.
Okay. So
Even by a white man's country, they will never do away with this because they will embrace it as their heritage.
Considering
that's why I want us to do the same, to see it as Gambian heritage and we keep it to ourselves.
And considering that we have a small population,
good,
and we can still maintain this.
Yeah, and it's foolproof.
And it's foolproof.
Yes.
So this foolproof thingy, in your view, is what is going to put Gambia in the forefront as far as elections are concerned.
That's why during Jawara's period, we are well known and respected
for this.
Yeah, of our democratic culture. Because everybody knew you cannot tamper with this. Maybe you can tamper with the voters, register. Yes, that used to happen.
Okay. As an experience, for the first time in our voting in the 2016 election, counting was done on the spot.
Yeah.
And through social media, this was the first time that we see the counting of marbles as far as Gambian election is concerned. As a historian, how do you feel that day when you see being used on live social media, on live television?
Those are the adjustments, which add value to our democracy. That was very good. That was an innovation. On-the-spot counting was an innovation. In 1960, the election took 21 days.
To count?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there was a mobile voting, Land Rovers.
Okay.
So they will vote in Gunjur, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, Katong, 12:30, Sanya. That's how it was. So it took 21 days.
To do the voting?
Yeah.
This was in 1960? Okay.
But now, thanks to innovation on the spot counting and social media, I mean, before 8 o'clock on the election day,
all the results were out.
No. So I want us to use the same, sense of innovation, to uplift this, but not to do away with it.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's your message to the country as a whole.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cisse.
Thank you.
We appreciate what you've done.
Sorry.
We may now pull some question. Anybody with a question?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead. Come on.
Okay. Hello, sir.
Hello, how are you?
I am Tabara.
Yeah, Tabara.
Yeah. I would like to know how was the registration done then? They need an ID card to register for
No.
elections or where there's
The reason was very difficult in 1960. One, they had problem of photographers. Some voters' card had photographs, I will show you, some did not have. So it was very difficult. That's why the elections were heavily contested.
Okay.
You see.
It was in 1960 elections. Registration
So the
was
whole idea of photograph was a big problem. In fact, halfway into the registration, the governor said, just if the alcalo says that he is 21 and above and a Gambian registered, because they could not have enough photographers to go with all the teams.
Okay.
Whatever it is, 1960, I mean, how many people had camera?
It was a luxury at the time.
In the fingers of one hand.
Yes, it was a luxury at the time.
So registration was very difficult.
Okay.
Two, I mean, people were suspicious. You see, that maybe the white man is coming to take information so as to increase tax and so on. Because then there was no radio.
Okay. There was no radio at the time in Gambia.
No, there was no radio.
Okay.
So registration, even that added to the suspicion. Some villagers, when they see the Land Rover coming, they will flee into the bush.
So that not to be registered.
Yeah. These are all in the archives. So it was very difficult.
It was.
okay, so there wasn't any radios, but how was the results designated? How did the people...
Well, I said 21 days. 21 days.
Okay.
Yes. So I mean, they went to Makati Square at the end of May 60, and then they had a blackboard, these big blackboards.
Yes.
Because then you had only 17 constituencies. So every constituency, they write the party, the candidates, and the result. So even some people didn't know the results until July.
Wow.
Because there was no radio.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in 1960, at what age would you be eligible to vote?
At 21.
21.
Yes.
Okay.
So it was just 18 years during Yajami's time.
Okay.
So the vote, so the first results of our elections were posted on a blackboard at the then Makati Square.
Well, now Makati Square, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This must have been very interesting.
Yes. Yeah. Because communication was difficult.
Communication was difficult.
Yes.
How do we evolve after that?
Well, things evolved fast. The roads came. The Gambia came in 62.
Radio Gambia came in 62.
So now, they can hear the results.
Okay.
They can campaign on radio also. 60 there was no radio, so you just have to use rallies.
Okay. So this campaign on radio
started in 62.
Started in 62.
Yeah.
And were parties allowed to campaign on radio?
Yes, 5 minutes.
Each party was allowed to speak 5 minutes.
Well, Radio Gambia started in May 62, and the next week the campaign started.
Wow! So it was that time.
It was so timely.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And how would you say access to radio was in that time?
Maybe 1%.
1% of the population.
I remember in those days radios are as big as this. Because this was before transistors.
Okay.
Yeah, so not many people can afford it. So you had listening, clubs. Like a whole village, only the chief will have the radio.
Okay.
In the evening he will tune, and people will come to listen.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would have been interesting time.
Of course, the technology has
improved. Now you don't need a radio anyway.
Yeah.
Now, coming after 1962, we had also something that happened in 1965.
That's independence.
That's the independence.
Yeah. Then the referendum for republic.
Did we at that time vote for independence?
No. It was the 62 election results.
Yes.
Which the British said are good enough to take us to independence.
So that was
some people were saying that there should be another election, but British said there is no money.
There is no money.
Elections cost money.
Okay.
They said the winners, in fact they made it clear, anybody who wins in 62 will take the Gambia to independence.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was the results of this 1962 election.
Yes, that's the PPP. Yes.
That's the PPP that led to the discussions and the formation of the Gambian independence.
Yes.
Okay, so it was not something else, but just the results of the.
Yeah, 62.
Who was the governor at the time, please?
Well, Sir John Paul.
Sir John Paul.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And then Safari Mansingate, whom you can see behind the cameraman there.
Yes.
Was also Governor General.
Governor General.
Yeah.
And he was mentioned as the first Gambian Governor General.
Yeah.
Did he participate in any election process?
No, he was appointed by the Queen.
He was appointed by the
When
Queen.
the Gambia became a republic, he ceased to
be. Yeah. That was in 1970. Gambia becomes a republic. Yeah. Okay. Coming down to our history of voting, we covered up to 1965.
Yeah.
What happened after 1965?
Well, it almost 10 elections before the army coup.
10 elections.
Because 66 election. Every 5 years, the Gambia was the only country. Every 5 years we had election.
Since 1962,
77, 82, 87, 92.
So we have been consistent as a country, regularly having elections.
From 1960 to 1994.
Non-stop.
Non-stop, every 5 years.
Wow, this is good for our democracy.
That's something to be proud of, yes.
Yes, this is something we can be proud of our democracy. Well, I never thought of that. Okay, now come the years after 1965, and we have more than 10 elections after that. I see that we have more political parties.
Yes.
Were there any need for the reason to have more political parties, or it was just open up for everyone to form a party?
The Gambia's democratic credentials, because this was a time in the 70s and 60s, this was a time in Africa, you don't have opposition. They'll kill you.
Okay.
Yeah. But in the Gambia, we had opposition parties, like NCP, Sirif Diba.
Yes.
Resigned as vice president to form an opposition party. It was unheard of.
Okay. At the time.
And you're going to do it in Africa. except in Gambia. Yeah, so I mean, PDOIS 1966. Yeah, so I mean, really is an indication of our democratic credentials.
So to say it in this way, that Gambia has a democratic process long before many countries in Africa. All countries in Africa. That we were more tolerant in terms of a party, a leading party, and opposition parties, and as it is still now, than all other African countries. Because you mentioned that being an opposition party at the time was unheard.
You cannot. Because they are all one party state.
They were all one.
They are all one party state.
So
Senegal, Guinea, Mali, Burkina, Ghana, they are all one party state.
So multi-party democracy.
Only the Gambia
was only the Gambia.
A multi-party democratic system.
This was from 1965 to date.
From 1960, in fact.
From 1960, multi-party democracy started in Gambia.
Until 94.
So in a nutshell, Gambia is the leading democratic country as far as Africa is concerned.
That's my point.
Wow. Okay. That would be a very good caption on our thing. Yes. Now come 1996, after a revolution or a coup d'etat in 1994, we have the same process of election.
New parties, and elections continue.
With new parties and election continue.
Like the Anti-Democratic Party.
Yes, it was a newly formed party.
APRC party.
It was a newly formed party.
These are some of the two new parties.
New parties that were formed in 1996 to contest in the elections. And this was regardless of a military
it's a continuation.
Take over.
Because the junta in term was very short.
Okay.
Just 2 years.
2 years.
And we are back to democratic.
Back to democratic process.
Constitution.
Okay. Now, and the same process, as you said, led to the change of the government in 2016.
Absolutely, yes.
And as a historian, how proud were you on that day? Not as far as the change of government, but that another voting system is...
No. I didn't have a sense of pride. Instead, I had a sense of satisfaction that it works, just as it has worked in 1962.
That it is still working.
Yeah, and I tell my students that this is not the first time.
And
it happened again. 2016 was just like another
one.
Change of government through the ballot box in the Gambia.
Okay.
You see my point?
I see your point. Very much so.
Yeah.
And
so
then
it's a continuity of our democratic record.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, marvel voting, to sum up, with the drum and the bell, is Gambia's history. It's Gambia's heritage.
Yeah.
And this is what we have to keep.
Absolutely, by all means.
And it has worked since 1962.
Since 1960.
Since 1960, it has worked.
Yes.
And it has never failed us in any way.
No.
And nobody has ever contested the counting.
No.
Okay.
And they will contest registration.
Yes.
Yeah, foreigners, this, Kasamas, this, Fullers, this, But the registration, counting?
No, because it has always been perfect.
No.
Okay.
Even Yajama's protest, had nothing to do with
the counting.
No. He
Okay.
said, at the polling station, his people they are not allowed something.
To walk in and vote and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's history now.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody with another question? Yes, go ahead.
Like recently, there are more people that register than people that go to the poll to vote. So does that have to do with the system of voting or the laziness of some people not going to vote?
Now, voter turnout now is a difficult issue. Historically, we have always been enthusiastic for presidential elections. But the others, I think people have just, scaled them in priority. Well, president, I'll vote. The rest, I think it's just like like a priority index. Like it looks like voters have their priority index. You see, but really, compared to other African countries, Gambia has been having the highest turnout
as far as
of voters. Some countries is like 40% vote, 38%.
Okay.
Yeah. But Gambia, like in 2011, there was voter turnout of 87% under Gambia.
Okay.
Yeah.
And which is
it was unknown.
Okay.
You see? So I think voter turnout is a difficult issue.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think people just prioritize. Yeah,
Okay.
and sometimes seasons do matter. At what time of the year is the election being done?
Okay.
Do people have time? So all these are food for thought for the election organizers. So that before you fix an election date, it should really go through scrutiny, because seasons matter. There are sometimes if the whole election you will never go.
Yes, yeah.
Because you'll be tired of doing something.
Something else,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Any more questions?
I don't want to be gender biased, but during the 1960s, do you know what the ratio was between men and women voting?
And again, I mean,
What was the ratio?
for total women has always been highest.
Really?
Yeah, historically in Gambia, yes, more women go to the polls. The records are there.
Even 1960s?
I mean, from 51. Yeah, women voters have always had the highest turnout. They are more enthusiastic than men. And that's obvious.
Until now, not
Yes.
before.
Yeah.
Until now.
Even if you take the statistics from IC, you'll see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Any other question? All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cisse.
Thank you.
We appreciate the whole thing.
Yeah, thank you very
And
much.
it's a real
Thank you.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hello.